Hello, this is Robert Cappuccio. I'd like to welcome you to another PTA Global video blog. Joanna Blakely is the Deputy Director of the Norman Lear Center in Southern California. She has her finger on the pulse of global media. She said something very interesting. She said that industries that have low IP, intellectual property protection, are industries that are growing faster and quickly becoming more profitable than industries that have high IP protection. We talked last time about this concept of information propagation versus intellectual property being the new competitive advantage, being the new IP of the future, if you will. And I wanted to talk about it again just briefly because I think we're on to something absolutely huge. We're witnessing what is perhaps going to be one of the most significant times in all of human history, and that's not an exaggeration. But what's even more amazing is that we might actually get to play, every one of us, an integral role in it. Me, you, we might actually get to participate in one of the greatest shifts in consciousness, in information sharing that humanity has ever seen. And this is super, super significant, obviously. John Patel is the co-founding editor of Wired magazine. If you don't know, that is the preeminent tech magazine in the world. He's the founder of Industry Standard. He's a columnist for Business 2.0, and he's the founder, publisher, and chairman of the Federated Media Publishing. In his book, The Search, he talks about Google's rise. The subtitle of the book is How Google and its Rivals, listen to this, how Google and its rivals rewrote the rules of business and transformed our culture. See, Google didn't just create an outstanding business platform, they literally changed our culture worldwide. Now, Google at first was a technology company. Then they had an idea. That idea led them to a major decision to go into media. Less than 5 years after Google shifted from being a technology company to being a media-based company, they went from next to zero in revenue, literally, to $4 billion. And that number is projected to quadruple in just 5 short years. Now, here's what's very interesting about Google. They supplanted other search engines like AltaVista, Yahoo, because while those companies were focusing on how to do search in an excellent manner, how to do what they do very, very well, Google looked at themselves a little bit differently. They didn't look at themselves as a search engine. They focused on being a portal to the world. And that is so huge because now they do more than just connect ideas. They connect our thoughts globally. Google is media's nervous system. Patel tells the story of Google founder Larry Page. When he was a little boy, he wanted to be an inventor. And one of his heroes was Nikola Tesla. Now, for those of you who don't know who Tesla is, he worked for and was a major rival with Thomas Edison for most of his life. Now, Tesla was a genius. As a matter of fact, a lot of Thomas Edison's inventions that he takes credit for, took credit for, it's suspected that they belong to Tesla in actuality. Tesla created the founding technology that we use today for X-ray machines, for cellular and wireless telephones, and as well as modern power grids. Tesla invented so much and he was so brilliant, but what Larry Page noticed as a 12-year-old boy is that as brilliant as he was, he never got any credit for his inventions. He received very little recognition and probably even less compensation for everything that he contributed to the world. And this is because he just simply didn't know how to get his ideas out there. Now, Larry Page and his partner, Sergey Brin, they learned from Tesla's mistakes. And they worked to get their inventions, their ideas, out into the hands of millions as fast as they possibly could. Now, in the process, they made other people very wealthy, and they themselves became enormously wealthy and enormously famous. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book, The Tipping Point, that was an amazing book, he talks about principles and laws of epidemics. And the first law of an epidemic, he writes, was the law of the few. And what he meant in the law of the few is that anytime you see any epidemic, an epidemic in media, a cultural shift, a political shift, a business shift, at the root of that shift is a very small group of people who have very special talents that they contribute. These people are mavens, connectors, and salesmen. Now, the mavens are people who possess a large degree of specialized knowledge, or specialized knowledge, so to speak. I'm getting like Rod Corn. They're geniuses. They have a knack for assimilating information, and they hold the keys to knowledge. And the second group of people that are becoming even more important today than when Malcolm Gladwell wrote The Tipping Point just a few short years ago, these are the connectors. These are people who might not have the genius to absorb information. They may not hold as much specialized knowledge and ideas and expertise as the mavens, but they can bring ideas together. They can bring people together. They can bring concepts together better than anyone else. And then there are the salespeople. These are the people who are powerful, charismatic persuaders. They drive influence. Now, it's very important for us to know which one we are, whether we're a maven, a connector, or whether we're a salesman, and then surround ourselves in our business, our industry, with people who make up the other two types that we lack. Now, many people are fairly good. They have proficiency in multiple areas. You know, very few people are a maven, a salesperson, and a connector altogether. But some people might be amazing mavens and pretty good salespeople. But what you want to do is find out which one you can be legendary at and surround yourself with other people who are legendary in one of those three areas. Now, I'm always really taken by the insight, by the observation of the late great anthropologist Margaret Mead. She said that a small group of thoughtful people could change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.